Monday and just did not sleep and just went till 4 p.m. because I had MCFC that Thursday and I wanted to have it done.
There you go.
So, and I procrastinated. So, where should we start with this? I guess the first place to start is your ref sheet. Do we all know what a ref sheet is?
Nope. Yes.
You said no? Okay, so a ref sheet is basically a drawing of your Sona from every angle, every aspect, showing every part of your Sona and how you want it to look and how you imagine that your character looks. Every marking, every detail. Sometimes you put like personality traits on there and it shows all the colors and everything that you need for that. Most makers will not accept a fursuit unless you have a reference, unless you're giving the maker full artistic liberty, which is rare, but it does happen. So the ref sheet is super important. That's another thing that you can commission artists to do, and they really enjoy those because money. The ref sheets can range anywhere in price, honestly. I've seen them go as cheap as $10, and I've seen them go as expensive as $1,000. So it depends all on what you're looking for and all the experience that you want for it. So once you have your ref sheet, start looking for a maker. And it all depends on where your price range lies, because if you have a very low price range, there's a good chance you're not going to be getting into the major makers. But at the same time, that has its pros as well, because going through an amateur maker, one, will save you a lot of money, and B, you may have just... Did I just say 1 and B?
Yeah.
It's been a long day. Two, you're also giving money to the people who are still up and coming and who may be a bigger maker one day. So, when they're a bigger maker, you can say, hey, I got one of their suits for way cheaper than you did. But amateur makers are great because they're our next up and coming things in our fandom.
I can't read it.
Me neither. I don't know.
How long have you been making suits?
I have been making suits for a little over a year now. Still very, very amateur. I'm currently not open for commissions. I won't be open until probably February, just because I have 2 on my plate right now that are very intensive. So, but as soon as they open, I will let everyone know. By the way, if you want to find me later, you can find me on just about everything at Status the Ferret. So once you have picked out your maker, there's a lot of research involved with it. One piece of advice I want to give you before that is don't rush into getting your suit made, because you will be much happier after researching, every single maker that you can, reading reviews, seeing their examples, seeing everything that you can, rather than just going with the first maker you find and sending money to them. You will be much happier with the end product if you wait and you do your research. So after that, first you have to get approved for a slot. Chances are amateur makers, you'll get a slot right away. Bigger makers, you may be in a queue for months. It depends all on your maker. I know one maker who does quad suits does not have any open commissions until 2024. So, but she, I don't remember, is a very, very big maker. Like I said, quad suits, which are very expensive as it is, and takes a very long time to make them. So once you get approved for a slot, you send in your ref sheet, and your maker will give you a quote. This quote can fluctuate, depending on, if things go wrong with the suit, for example, like they start furring it and you're like, that is not the color of the fur at all, they then have to go buy new fur. Most makers will cover that or anything like that, but it all depends on your maker. Some makers require payment plans right away. Some of them will take it in parts. Like sometimes your fursuit, the maker will say, yeah, your quote is $1,000, I need $1,000 up front. But sometimes they'll be like, yeah, your quote's $1,000, you can pay me $25 and I'll get started for you. Like, it all depends on who you're commissioning. Once you get your slot, you send in your ref sheet, and they get started. One of the things that I do as a maker that I know people appreciate is as they make the suits, they send as many updates as they can and send pictures. And this helps a lot, especially with as mentioned, things can go wrong. And this helps especially with, when you're picking out fur color or body size or anything along those lines. I personally don't do full suits, so I can't give too much advice about that, but I can give what I do know, of different, styles of full suit. So after you get your slot approved, you get your suit. As long as you approve of it, they ship it over. Shipping is a very expensive thing to do, depending on where you're making from. I usually try to deliver at the con if I can, which makes it 10 times cheaper because then you don't have to pay anything. I just give it to you. So once you get it shipped to you, and then it's all yours. Okay, so I very, very briefly went through what it is to actually commission the suit. Before I jump into our next topic, do we have any questions? Yeah.
What if you don't have a ref sheet?
Good luck. No, so the ref sheet is really, really, really important. Most makers, if you want a specific character and you know what you want him to look like, most makers will not approve you unless you have a ref sheet. That means you can either get one from another artist, make it yourself, or you'd have to accept that your maker will take artistic liberty on some things. Does that help?
So could they work off of examples they have? Or can you say point to an example they have and say something like that?
Yeah.
Like a Pinterest board?
Yes, they can.
This
So,
is what I want.
okay, so they can. But at the same time, it goes back to the artistic liberty things because most makers will not make a direct character. Like if you send them a picture of Pikachu and say, I want that but in blue, most people won't do it. So, yes, so the ref sheet is important because it shows all aspects and it's the best way to go. However, some makers will approve if you just send them a badge and show them, hey, this is what the head looks like. Especially if you're just getting ahead. You might be able to do that. Getting ahead. Sorry. Like I said, it's been a long day. Anything is going to make me laugh at this point. Your ref sheet is still the best way to go, but honestly, it depends on your maker. Personally, if someone sent me a Pinterest board of things like that, I would say I'd probably work with this and just ask you a ton of questions. Depends on your person. For the higher end fursuits, they're going to basically laugh in your face. So get a ref sheet. But for amateur to midway makers, most of them they'll work with you. So, but ref sheets are very important. Okay, yeah.
If you're going to get something like mid-range to high-end, is it considered bad form to try to haggle price or anything like that? Because you're working with an artist, it's not like you're on a used car lot or something.
Exactly. So it's considered impolite to really haggle with any artist because like I said, it's if it's not an auction, I guess. So it's considered impolite, but I wouldn't discourage it if you feel that the price isn't exactly what you were hoping for. If you go to an amateur artist and they say $5,000, then it's okay, that's a little insane. Haggle. But going to higher end artists, most of them won't let you anyway. So they'll be yeah, no, this is your quote. If you don't pay this, you're not getting a suit.
Yeah, I imagine they're not hurting for work, so.
Exactly. If you go through Don't Hug Cacti, I've never worked through them, but I would imagine that they wouldn't be able to, they can't have much flexibility because they need the money for supplies and stuff. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Yeah.
Is there a good list of fursuit makers out there? A comprehensive list showing who's the high end, middle end, low end?
Yes. Fur Affinity is the best place to go for that. They will.
Mixed Candy just sold the most expensive one this year.
Really?
I believe they have the top now.
Do they have the top? What is the number that it went for? Do you know?
Was it 12?
1,200 or 12,000?
12,000.
That is not the top. I've seen one for 32,000.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm. It also had basically a full air conditioning unit in it. So that is 32 times what my car cost. No, that is 320 times what my car cost.
That's half of my house.
Exactly. That's it's insane to me. I'm a broke college student. That ain't happening. But I totally forgot the question.
I would like you guys to, not starve for your
Yeah, don't start for your art.
Seriously.
If you're gonna go broke after buying your fursuit, don't do it, please. I'm sorry. What was your question? I totally forgot.
Oh, no, I was just asking if there was a list. I know Fur Affinity is
Yes.
a place to search, but I just wondered if there was a list somewhere that listed reputable and maybe which ones
I
what kind of
personally
quality.
don't have one, but I would be able to probably write some down for you if you'd like. I know right off the top of my head, mixed canny, don't hug cacti. More for less is great. I gotta think. Oh, Otter Fox is great. One of the great people to check out Picari Rue on YouTube. So Picari is fantastic. She does a lot of videos about.
What's the name?
Picari Rue. Pocari.
Because I'm going to be looking for something probably higher end, fairly realistic looking.
Awesome.
I didn't know she commissioned suits.
She does not commission suits. She has videos about people who commission suits and have very high end
Yeah, I know
stuff.
about her videos.
Okay.
She also has amateur makers that are phenomenal. So
Yeah.
she has a whole. She's probably the best place to go check out that video. She'll give you a whole list of it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I don't have that off the top of my head.
That's helpful. Just anyone who I can talk to.
Awesome. In the back.
Related note, do you have a list of local suit makers?
No, I'm from New York. I wish I did, and I'm so sorry I don't, but I'm from 10 hours away. And I hate to tell you, the furry community in New York is so small. Nobody fursuits in New York because there's an actual law that you cannot have your face covered in a group of people. Just in a group of people. If you're alone, like if you're mascotting, that's totally legal. But if you get multiple mascots in a room, suddenly that's illegal. That's why there's no cons in New York, fun fact.
Do you go to DC though?
I have never been to DC.
Because I know I've heard there's a con in DC or Maryland.
Is there?
Yeah.
I know the closest con to me right now is Camp Tiny Paws. It's in Danbury, Connecticut.
What
It's about.
isn't there a fur con in Jersey, New Jersey?
There might be.
Because I know my sons went there.
Connecticut would still be closer for me.
Is it closer?
Yep. New Jersey, the border of New Jersey is about 3.5 hours from me.
Okay, I'm thinking New York, Manhattan.
Oh, I'm not in Manhattan. No, I'm in, to put it in perspective, Chobani yogurt is made half an hour from where I live. So I am in the middle of nowhere.
So that's a statewide law then?
That is a statewide law that you cannot
I
have
thought
your
you were
face
talking about city then.
Oh, no,
wow.
that's statewide.
That sucks.
Our governor's an idiot. Sorry. Do we have any other questions?
Contagious across the country.
Oh, I'm sure. New York is so toxic. And I mean, another reason we don't have them in New York is because it's so expensive.
Right.
I live in the third highest tax county in the country. Like, it's insane. Our sales tax is something like 9%. It's insane. How did we get on this topic? We're literally talking about fursuits. This is just status hates its state.
Everything is political.
I hate politics. Politics are stupid. Let's just be animals for the rest of our life.
Great.
Amen to that.
I don't know, because humans eat animals.
Yes.
But humans
eat humans.
I mean, humans eat humans too, but like that's just a small
in the
community.
Midwest. If all of a sudden everybody in here became an animal, we're probably gonna.
I am in the
not
Midwest.
like them.
People actually have a will to live here. Like it's strange. Like
That's because you're not from here. That's actually inaccurate.
really okay.
That's inaccurate.
Like no, like people like hold the door open for each other and smile and like ask how you're doing. In New York, people are just
we care
like
that you're okay. But
okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions about stuff? No. Okay.
What would that cost?
That personally, my price around $300.
Okay. Now, that's for you making it?
That would be the whole price. Would be $300.
If I were to have bought it.
If you were to buy it now, I'd probably sell it to you for $100. I'm broke and I need to get home.
Okay.
If you were to commission me for that, I mean, I would have to sit down and look at like logistics and how much fur is going to cost and things like that. But my estimate is about $300.
Okay.
And I'd spend more time on it than 24 hours. I promise.
I assume that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Look at that. See.
And he
That's
actually
the
has.
benefit of getting somebody. Who
Yeah, you will.
hasn't sold $15,000.
Oh yeah, no, the most expensive. Right now I have a full suit for sale that's going for $500. So, and the price is negotiable. So I mean that's one of the perks of an amateur maker is you usually get an amazing product for cheap because they're still trying to get their feet wet, and with that they get good experience.
How do you
So
measure a head for someone? How do I make sure when I'm commissioning my head from you that my eyes are going to be where I want them to be?
personally, I get very specific about it. I have a whole sheet that I will ask you for measurements. I will ask you circumference from the tip of your nose around your head, circumference from your forehead around your head. I'll ask what how many inches from your nose to your chin, from the middle of your eyes to your chin, your distance apart from your mouth. Sometimes I'll ask for like the triangle, so like perimeter, if that makes sense, like from the edge of your eyes to the tip of your nose. So I get very specific. I know a lot of experience makers have to do the same because they want to make sure it lines up. I mean, a good way to get around with that is humongous eyes. So that way you're able to see. And then I have a habit now of doing very spacious heads, so usually that's not a problem for me. Any other questions?
5 people.
Yeah, don't be shy.
I was actually asking about what did you say your like username was so I can.
At status the ferret. Status like the quo, and then just the ferret. Yep, and I'm on Instagram, Telegram. I think I'm on Facebook. I don't know, Twitter, anything. Come find me. Email me at statustheferret@gmail.com. Yeah.
Because I thought, hey, you might as well find more suit makers who would.
Awesome. Yeah. Like I said, my commissions probably won't be open until like February-ish, right around first square time. But I'm always willing to give tips and advice as well. So, yeah, in the back.
Where's my question? So, have you made heads that fit around glasses?
Yes.
How does that differ? How do the measurements differ?
Usually if you just add like an extra inch, you're fine. The person, so for me, my heads, for whatever reason, always end up very spacious. So glasses are not a problem. I believe this head right here is 24 inches around. So if it's my glasses, just fine. I have plenty of room. They don't fog up because they're not like pressed against my face or anything like that. Usually for measurements, I will ask, well, one of the measurements I take is from the tip of your nose around, and your glasses typically don't go past the tip of your nose. So usually I'll do tip of your nose all the way around and then just base it off of that. So I personally don't really ask for glasses because I just assume that they need space in front of their face. But I mean, that's a good thing to alert your maker if you plan to wear your fursuit with glasses to do so. When I fursuit, I usually don't. But then again, I also hardly ever fursuit. So, but yeah, that's something to definitely alert your maker with. And yeah, I mean, my older brother Finnegan, he just finished his first fursuit ever, and he just wears contacts with us because he doesn't even want to have to bother with us.
I can't stand putting things in my eyes.
I totally understand that. He hates it too, but like, you know, it's for the art, you know?
It's much more convenient.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's not fun being blind, is it? Do we have any other questions?
And what's your process?
This is a fun thing to talk about. Okay, so my process. First, I have to get all of the measurements, obviously, so I know what I'm basing everything around. And then I just go right into measuring out the foam, and I personally like to line it right away. So I'll cut out, say, if the measurement is from like the shoulders to the top of your head, that's usually what I'll do the initial foam height to be, and then whatever the circumference, that'll be the width. Or the length, I'm sorry, not the width. The width is usually just 1 inch because that's what's readily available. That's okay. I need a nap, y'all. And then I'll
move right there.
I need a nap so bad. And then I will line it with fabric. I tend to line with something that is moisture wicking. He is lined with not satin, spandex. And so I'll glue on the lining right away usually. Some people like to wait. I personally don't. I think it's just easier to get it in right away. And then I'll fold it up, make the head, and then make the base completely out of upholstery foam, which you can find at pretty much any craft store. I personally like to use 1 inch. I think it gives just enough leeway where you can, cut and sculpt enough, but still have a full face to it. So I hot glue that. Next step is I usually put in the eyes. I make that with foam sheets that you can get for literally $0.25 a piece. And either, it depends on the person, but sometimes I'll use buckram or embroidery board. All depends what the person wants in terms of their eyes and invisibility. Like for them, if the more important thing is visibility, embroidery I can't talk. Embroidery board for the eyes works. He is made with here. He's got embroidery board eyes. He because for me ventilation was very important because I get very hot very easily, and the details of the eyes really didn't matter. But I just had one that I used Buckram because his eyes were very detailed, and I wanted to make sure I could capture all of those details. So once the eyes are in, I always find follow me eyes way more easier to put in. So I always do follow me eyes, but other makers may do static eyes, which just they basically lay on top of the head and they stay put and don't move around, I guess. But follow me eyes have always been easier for me. So I put in the follow me eyes on the foam base, and then you make a pattern using both masking tape and duct tape. I saw your hand. I will grab your question, I promise.
That's not what it was.
Okay, perfect. But I'll usually do a layer of masking tape, and then I'll do a layer of duct tape just to make sure I cover every aspect of it. You draw your pattern right on top of the head, cut off everything, lay it down on the fur, cut it out, and sew it together. Occasionally putting it back on the head and taking it off just to make sure everything fits right and is the right size and everything like that. Sew it together, either hand sew or machine sew. I personally hand sew everything. I just think the details come out better. And then glue it on, and you got yourself a fursuit head. And usually I sew the lining onto the neck fur as well because I feel like it just stays better like that. I went through that really fast. Does anyone have any questions about that? Yeah.
How long does it usually take you to do that?
If I don't sleep, apparently 24 hours. Usually, so from beginning to end, it really depends on the head and what my schedule looks like. If I'd say on a normal like school schedule or whatever, what I'm going through right now, I'd say a month. I could probably get a head done if I really push myself. It could really... for me, it could really take anywhere between, I'd say, a month and a couple of weeks. But for me, usually not longer than a month or two. So, other makers, it's a different story. Other makers can hammer out a head in a week, which I don't understand. Like, do y'all not go to work or something? Maybe
not. They might be doing a head a week.
That's true. That could be their job. They could easily, for $32,000 a suit, they could easily make a living off of that. But yeah, so it all depends on your maker. For me, personally, month to 2 months to get the head done. Cool. Any other questions?
I want to look at them.
Go for it. You can even put them on. He's a little rough because he's, my boy, and he's been active since April. But yeah, take a look, have fun with him.
What is he?
He's a ferret. Yep. Any other questions? Yeah.
Where do you get your fur from?
Okay. Fur. My favorite thing to talk about ever. So most of his fur is both from leftovers that I had, my local craft store, ta-da! My local craft store and Amazon. Things that I've learned. Don't buy from your local craft store or Amazon. No, most of the white fur is actually from Hobby Lobby. And, it works for what he is, because he's supposed to be, kind of a scraggly ferret. But if you want high-quality stuff, go through, Fursuit supplies or, makers or things like that. Your local craft store, although the fur it's decent quality, if you're making, little costumes and stuff, it will wear out pretty quickly. Amazon, if you're buying from a known fur distributor, Amazon is fine, and it usually works for Prime and stuff. I did not do that. I bought the first colored fur that I could find. And I learned my lesson, because the purple fur, although it's holding up well, is very chunky, and it doesn't have that same kind of smooth pattern to it as I would have hoped. In his case, it worked because I was using him kind of as emo fringe, so it ended up working out. But this black fur that I bought for don't fall please. The black fur that I found, the black fur I actually bought on Amazon for another suit, but I had it left over, so I was able to use it. That fur actually came out incredible. So it's kind of a balancing act. You got to figure out where to go through. Your fursuit supply sites. usually is your best bet, and they do have some pretty decent prices around what you're going to find on like Amazon or your local craft
I go to a
store.
site called, I checked to see if they're still online, so I'm assuming they're still in business. It's called I'm Stuffed Fur. They sell stuff for like stuffed animals. I've had good luck getting fur through them.
Okay,
Like, really
I've
high
never
quality
heard of them,
fur.
but thank you. What is it called?
I'm Stuffed Fur.
I'm Stuffed Fur.
But they'll sell you enough to make a suit.
Perfect.
Because I did, my first suit I had made was made through that. I've got
Awesome.
fursuit fur for another suit that I want to get made, but I haven't found someone to make it yet.
Gotcha.
But it's like the fur's really
I mean, if you'll pay me enough, I'll open up my conditions now. But I got debt to pay off, y'all. But so yeah, your online sellers are your best bet.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you. Like I said, your online sellers are your best bet. Yeah, go through some reputable sellers. Does that help? Awesome. If you need a list of people, let me know. I could easily find that for you. Yeah.
Do you plan on making the other parts of the fursuit?
Eventually. I need funds first. Yeah, no, I just actually got a full reference for status. The perks of being your own fursuit maker is you can just kind of go at your persona and it's going to come out perfectly because even if you mess up, he's still your persona. But eventually, I do plan on making the full fursuit for him. I plan to have him all as like a dropped crotch in true ferret fashion to have, you know, short little stubby legs and yeah, eventually I'll have a full suit for him, but probably not for another year, so yeah.
How much does it usually cost in raw material?
Raw material. So if you do just base foam, fur, and eye supplies, around $100. If you do, you know, if you add things like mixed fur and you want to go advanced with the eyes and you want to add ventilation holes, then obviously the price gets jacked up. But like upholstery foam is usually around $20-$25. Fur, if you buy one color, is usually around $30 per yard. Eye supplies, usually the foam to make the base of the eyes usually comes in packs for $1. And then the actual eye usually depends what you buy. Buckram is really, really cheap. You can get buckram for like 50 cents for half a yard, which is all you're going to need. Embroidery board, I believe, is like $3 for an 8x12 sheet. And then lining, depends what you line it with. Usually it could be around $5 to $10 a yard, which you really only need about a yard. So usually around $100, plus to add, you know, not to add, you know, like glue, like hot glue and stuff, and to add, like if you need thread and needles and things like that. But in base raw materials, usually around 100. Yeah.
Good question. I guess a lot of, I don't know if you might know this or not, but are a lot of fursuit makers okay if you send them the materials you want used in the suit, or do they want to only use the materials they
Depends on your
buy?
maker.
Okay.
That is totally up to your maker. From my experience, yes, most people are okay with that. If you
Okay.
have a specific fur that you want to use.
Because I found some fur I would really like, but
Right.
I could ship it to them.
Right. The only problem with that, again, is if they mess up and they run out of fur.
Okay.
So that's your only problem, because then, especially if it's not available, you're gonna have a hard time, you know, trying to find a replacement. And finding matching fur is a pain in the nuts. So, especially like whites and blacks, trying to find a matching fur that's a fur that's been discontinued is a absolute bear. But from what I've seen, most makers are okay with it, especially the really high-end, experienced ones, because they know how to make it work. So, I'd say yes, but again, totally up to your maker.
Okay.
Cool. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
So when fursuit makers are starting out, do they have to worry about like, because I'd imagine that you'd have to kind of like look at references to kind of get a feel for like how the shape of it works. But then like wouldn't you have to worry about like it not looking like a kind of style? Like
I just had this problem with my last commission. So my first piece of advice is practice like a lunatic and sell your pre-mades, even if you just make $50 off of it. So sending examples to your commissioner is always a good step, especially if you're an amateur maker. Because then people can see kind of the style that you work in. Even if you only have a couple examples, people can see the style that you make in and kind of what it's going to end up looking like. So the ref sheet, like I said, is a very important tool because it will allow you to look at the style that the person wants it done in. And if, for example, if, what's his face? I can see the expression of the fursuit, but I can't think of I believe it's Don't Hug Cacti that does kind of the very wide-eyed, toothy expression for fursuits. If they were to find status, they would laugh in my face because they would be like, "There is no way we can make that in our style." So that's also the importance of the ref sheet because you can say, "Hey, I can do this, but it's going to be in my style. Is that okay with you?" I had another thought and I totally lost it, and I'm so sorry. But yeah, another piece of advice was when you're first starting out, only sell to friends and family, because because commissioners can blow things way out of proportion. And with that, one bad review can pretty much tarnish your record, and it sucks, especially if you're a newer maker, because if you get 3 good reviews and 1 bad review, that's 1/4 of your audience. That's already that already sucks. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Is there any aspect that I didn't cover? Because I kind of started word vomiting and forgot what I was saying.
So you're essentially saying kind of like, based on the ref sheet, like usually you would want to use the style that's like from the ref sheet.
Do your best to use the style from the ref sheets. Yeah, it would be your best bet. If you can't do it in that style of the ref sheet, contact your person and either say, "I can't do this," or say, "I can, but this is going to be in a little bit of a different style. Is that okay?" So, yeah, I hope that helps. Do we have any other questions? Yeah.
What kind of other animal experience and making fursuits do you have?
Do I have? I've done the ferret. I've done 3 different owls, and I've done a deer, and I've done a donkey dragon hybrid. So if you want examples, come find me after, and I can show this to you. So I've done a bunch of other heads, but they haven't turned out good. I have this head base that we call now Duck the Seat Fox, because I originally tried to make a fox head for my older brother, Finnegan the Flying Fox. It did not come out right. It does not look like a fox. It looks like a duck with ears. And the reason we call him Duck the Seat Fox is because my brother took apart the foam and is currently using it for padding in his car. So, for whatever reason, I can't make canines, which kind of sucks because that already eliminates probably like 50% of this fandom. Let's be real here. But yeah, I guess birds is really where I excel. My first Sona was an owl called Julian the Owl, and I have 3 different prototypes of his head. The first one came out so bad that I don't even know where he is anymore. Second one was okay. I brought him to Anthrocon. I have a picture of me and Alkali with him, and it's an okay head, but you can definitely tell the immaturity. And then the third head is actually the one that I'm currently trying to sell, which came out good. But yeah, I'd say I have a handful of decent experience. Oh, and I did a kind of like a goat dragon sort of mix that he's actually walking around here somewhere.
I would do a goat.
You want to do a goat?
Yeah.
I could totally do a goat for you. I think goats are the cutest thing on this freaking planet. But I've done a deer, so they kind of have, in the style of fursuits, they kind of have a similar face to them. So, contact me after and we'll talk. Yeah.
You also do Pokemon?
See, copyrighted creatures are tough for me. Just because, first of all, you already have a certain style that you have to work with, and that kind of, it limits you a little bit. But I don't have a problem with it as long as it is far enough off the original Pokemon. Like, if you told me to make a Furret, just a straight up Furret, and you sent me just a picture of a Furret, I would flat out tell you no because I don't want to get copyright strike. But if it's based off of a Pokemon and it's far enough off, I personally will. Most makers will not because they don't want to deal with that copyright. Does that make sense?
That does.
Okay.
If this deviates enough.
I'd say so. I can't tell what Pokemon it is, so I'd say so. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like a Pokemon, but yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'd say yeah. You just got to be careful with copyrights.
Okay.
So, I hope that helps. Any other questions? Questions are what run this panel, so I really appreciate it. Yeah. Banana. I support that, yes. Bananas are great. I need a banana. I'm very hungry. I just had Skyline chili for the first time. It was really great. Your chili has like a barbecue taste to it.
You're
It's
welcome,
interesting.
that's weird, yeah.
It's a little different. See, my dad was explaining to me that, any part of the country that you go to, food variations are going to taste slightly differently just because of the area that you're in. Y'all have like a barbecue-y taste. We up in upstate New York like to do a spicy tomato-y taste.
It's
so.
Greek. The Cincinnati
Yeah,
chili
it's actually Greek
Is it
from
Greek?
Macedonia. It's from that part of the world.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, it's Greek chili and cinnamon is the key.
And they put a little cocoa powder or chocolate in it
Oh,
sometimes
shit,
too.
Cinnamon
really?
chocolate, all
That's why it
sorts
looks
of
so dark. Ours is
Yeah.
like very red in New York.
Yeah, you got a lot of tomatoes.
Yeah, we like. Not to mention, I come from a very Italian part of town.
Yeah,
so.
it's just, the Cincinnati style chili is Greek. Yeah.
It's delicious. I mean, I like it. And y'all put it on spaghetti here, which I think is really cool.
Everything's better on spaghetti.
Everything is better on spaghetti. I'd be better on spaghetti. Maybe I'd be a better panelist if I was just sitting on a bowl of spaghetti.
There is a pasta bar.
Guys, this has been commissioning a fursuit. Actually, what? Do we have a time check? There's my phone. No, I actually do have to keep track of time. All right. No, we still got almost 25 minutes.
Once it's done, the pasta bar is like halfway, so.
I'm going to miss the pasta bar.
Well, okay, are you a food pass?
No.
Okay, then you're fine, because food pass goes first.
Oh, perfect.
And then it's open to general admission after.
Cool. So we had a question.
How long does it take you to do your gloves?
Gloves I can hammer out in a day. I think these took me a total of 3 hours. Gloves are actually really easy. So because they are a set pattern thing, like just about every maker already has a set pattern for every glove. It just varies fur. So unlike the head where you kind of have to work around different patterns and different styles and things, gloves you can just sit down, cut out fur, sew it together, and you're done. So I believe these took 3 hours. I think I watched 2 documentaries while I was doing it. These, like I said, these were rushed, so they're not my best work, but yeah, I literally just traced a wider version of my hands and sewed them together. There are different fursuit, glove, hand paw, whatever you want to call them. Are we okay over here? I just thought someone passed out, so I was really concerned. I was like, do I need to... I mean, Conops is right across... Like, you're fine. I don't care if you lay on the floor. I just needed to make sure no one was, like, dead.
Oh, we're fine.
Okay.
We're not dead.
Okay. So, yeah, gloves usually take pretty quickly. I mean, for probably more advanced makers, they'd take a little bit longer, but for me, I can usually hammer them out in a day and get them to you. I also hand sew everything, so...
Is the material expensive or no?
Depends what you're using. This one, I did this with the back side is the same fur that I used for the head, so I already had it laying around, and the front side is a purple fleece and felt. The fleece was pretty cheap. It was like $6 a yard, and you need maybe half a yard for it. And then the felt you can get for a quarter a sheet, and I only needed a sheet. So I'd say compared to the head, no, way cheaper. In comparison to everything else, it's about equal, but it's definitely one of the cheaper parts of the fursuit. So, yeah, hope that helps. Yeah.
So, would you start with making the paws? Was there the easiest, or just
If you need practice, with pattern work and things like that, absolutely. The paws are probably the easiest part to do with the fursuit. Hand paws and like tails are really easy because tails you only need a handful of measurements. Handful. Sorry. So yeah, that's those two are probably the best parts to start with. Yeah.
About making like the puffy paws, you probably already answered it though.
I did not answer that. Along the same lines, it's, again, for most makers, it's just a set pattern. They just cut it out, sew it together. Puffy paws, I've seen a couple of different ways to make puffy paws. I've seen both making like foam bases for the tips of the fingers and then making a pattern around that. And then I've also seen like just putting stuffing in the tips of the fingers. So, again, all depends on your maker. But it's the same thing, you know. There's a set pattern, you just cut out the fur, sew it together, and you're all set. Cool. Anything else? Yeah.
And just to reiterate, if you want to start out and start practicing, you said it was good to kind of like pound out things that you like and try to sell them at cost to recoup so you can just keep going.
Exactly.
And making.
Practice like a lunatic until you are comfortable starting your commissions. That is something I wish I would have done, because as soon as my first decent suit came out, I was like, I'm opening commissions, I don't care how much I fail, we're going to do this, and I regret it. So, yeah, hammer out things like a lunatic, make a bunch of different characters that you're willing to part with, sell them, usually just, at the start of it, just get enough to reimburse yourself for supplies. Then start kind of raising your prices up a little bit and seeing where you can take it from there. Another thing is sell to close friends, family, or people that you know are not going to tarnish your reputation. Don't take outside commissions right away. Cool. Is there anything else that I can answer for you?
What kind of initial investment are you looking at if you're just starting out?
If you're just starting out, surprisingly, you need a bunch of little things, and it adds up really quickly. One of the most important things that I have found, get a ton of plastic bins. From Walmart, you're going to need it to organize your fur, you're going to need it just for storage, you might need it for extra space, and get bins. I got really small ones to start, and I ended up having to sell them maybe a month later because I had already had so much supplies that I needed more space for. You need hot glue gun and glue sticks and sewing needles and a ton of different color thread, and you need space and tape measures and everything you could possibly imagine. So initial investment, you're putting away about $300 for it. And that doesn't even count if you need extra things like, I've seen people rent out office space, or I've seen people have to get a new desk for it, or things like that, or shelving, or along those lines. But for the very base of it, I'm going to cap it at about $300 for it. And then to make your first head, it's going to be an additional $100 or so. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. It's a big investment, but it's for sure worth it. It's a very rewarding experience, especially when you finish your first head. It is amazing.
Have you gotten better at finding creative ways to use like leftover stuff?
Oh, I love that question. I have made some weird things. I had a ton of leftover fleece from one of my projects, just orange fleece, and I made a giant stuffed Cubert. So you find adorable ways to reuse it. One of the easiest ways I found to reuse it is make a ton of hand paws and make a ton of tails. That for foam, especially if you're using it for just like head. If you're using it just like to fur your head and you have some extra, and that's a great way to get reimbursed for it. But I have found a lot of creative ways to reuse it. I've made anything from like pencil bags to just little. I've made head accessories and fun things like that. So yeah, you find a lot of creative way to use your fur. And it's good, because it ends up everywhere. Yeah, I saw your hand.
How many platforms do you sell like pre-made suit stuff on? Because if you sell it on multiple, wouldn't that be hard to manage?
So, write down everywhere you sell it, first of all. I try to limit as many as I can to ones that I know I can keep track of. Like, I remember about 6 months ago, I posted an ad on Fur Affinity that I was opening up my commissions, and I still get emails every single day about them. And some of them are legit. Others of them are these 12-year-olds with daddy's credit card, and I can't accept that. I don't want to get my ass thrown in jail. So, I found the easiest way is meeting friends and talking to them, rather than trying to sell on like a mass place. Get a website, Tumblr works, whatever, and get one place that you can post all of your pre-mades on, as well as posting advertisements here and there on different firm websites. That helps a lot too. Facebook Marketplace is also a great place to find, because even if someone just buys it as like a mascot costume or a Halloween costume or something like that, you're still getting money, and that's what's important. That's the whole Fursuit maker business right there, is collecting that moolah. But yeah, I'd say get a website and sell on your own terms. That's probably your easiest way to go. Cool. Questions? Don't be shy. It's okay.
Squeakers.
Squeakers, I have no experience. So the only one that I have ever seen is it was not attached to the fursuit head. People just would put it in their mouth or whatever. I am so sorry. I have no experience with squeakers. I would imagine you could just like glue them into the nose or something and be able to use them that way. I've used a kazoo with my fursuit. That was fun. I have like something like 40 kazoos sitting in my room right now from a panel I did yesterday morning. It's annoying. So I'm so sorry. I have no experience with squeakers, and I wish I could help you out more there.
Have you looked up the electric kazoo?
I have looked up the electric kazoo, and I need one.
They're awesome.
I need one so bad. Just to add to my repertoire of instruments at this point. Anything else? Are there any processes? Yeah, okay.
Okay, so as a maker, when you're creating a species or a character that has anatomy that you're less familiar with, how do you go about figuring out the 3D shape that you're trying to create?
Trial and error.
Okay.
A lot of trial and error. This is another place where extra supplies come in. Making miniature versions also helps a lot. I have a lot of dolls laying around my house, so I would make fursuits on my dolls or whatever, and just lay out and kind of play around and experiment with different things. Look at the actual creature and look at what, in comparison, what the person wants for the suit. Trial and error is going to be your best bet. I've seen duct tape dummies as a big one, where you make a mold out of your body out of duct tape, and I believe you stuff it after that, just so you have it. But yeah, trial and error is going to be your best bet. Anatomy is hard. Anatomy is stupid and it's hard. But yeah, another way to do it is talk to fursuit makers who have maybe done something like that and see what they would do. In my personal opinion, I've only made one full suit, and for me it was just a totally flat suit. So I'm the bad person to ask about that. But at the same time, anatomy is stupid, and look up a lot of pictures and a lot of trial and error. And before you sew your pattern, do it in a cheaper material. So that way you know what to expect, what kinks and turns, what things to do along those lines. Does that help?
Yes.
I really love your bow tie. It is adorable. Anything else? Questions are what run this panel, so don't be shy. Yeah.
What made you decide to start making?
I wanted a fursuit and I'm broke.
That's me.
No, actually I've done cosplay for the past probably 3 or 4 years now, and so I had already been familiar with sewing and doing weird things, and for me, fursuiting was just another step in it. But I mean, it mainly led down to I wanted a fursuit and I was broke, and so I just looked up a bunch of tutorials on how to do it. And my first couple, like I said, it came out absolutely horrendous. So, but yeah, the way I got into it was just I wanted a fursuit. I loved costume design. I loved sewing. I loved arts and crafts. Just seemed to all fit together. And I needed money. That's why I opened up commissions. Anything else? Yeah.
For gluing your foam, do you prefer a high temp hot glue gun or a low temp hot glue gun?
I personally prefer low. Does the job. Gets the job done. I have not had too much experience with high, but I would imagine it can work at very high temperatures. I've also burned myself enough with a low glue gun that I don't want to deal with a high glue gun because I'm afraid I will melt my hand off. I have a scar on my lower thigh from when I sat on my hot glue gun while it was on, okay? Like, I don't want to deal with a high hot glue gun. I prefer low. It works out better, and it helps if you need to, get your finger in there and mold it. You're not going to come out with scalding pain, Although I've seen, fun fact, Adam Savage from the Mythbusters has made a fursuit, and I know he worked a lot with high hot glue, so it's really up to you. I personally prefer low. It does what I need it to do, and it holds well enough. Cool. What time is it? What time? All right, we got 10 minutes. Anything else? Yeah.
So we'll ask, what do you use to make your eyes out of?
So eyes, I use a plethora of different materials depending on who is going to be wearing the suit. Me, my suits, I usually use embroidery board because the ventilation is the best there, and the vision is going to be the best because the eyes are so wide, like the eye holes are going to be so wide. For more detailed eyes, buckram is probably going to be your best bet. It's tighter and your visibility is going to be lower, but you can get a lot more detail in there, but still be able to see. So, yeah.
Some people look through the eyes and some people look through the corners.
Yes.
But that only works really with a dark fursuit, I think.
It's not even the dark fursuits. Usually the corner works with the realistic eyes. So it depends. The darker corners, I've seen just like plastic used for that, honestly. I don't do that. I always do my eyes see-through. So it all depends. It all depends on what you're looking for. My personal 2 go-tos are, actually I have 3, I'm sorry. I miss cheesecloth. Cheesecloth is great because it's a happy medium. You can still get a lot of supplies done, but there's still bigger holes for ventilation and vision. So I use embroidery board, cheesecloth, or buckram are your best bets. Anything else? Hi, Doug.
Hello.
Do you have the next panel in here?
No, not in here.
Oh, okay.
They're still going strong in the panel room that I'm going to have in like 5 minutes.
Gotcha.
What's your panel?
Talking video games. Retro game talk, history of video games, and maybe some interesting stuff with the video game crash of the 80s.
He also has an amazing panel coming up at 9 p.m. Called Going Unsupervised. So
Yes.
he's going to be doing a stand-up comedy special.
I got a big room!
Yay!
Are you 18 plus?
18 plus, yes. It is definitely 18 plus.
And some weird-ass ferret might be opening for him.
Yes, I
He's
wonder
kinda
who
good
that
at
is.
stand-up. I don't know. I've heard he's really, like, stupid, though. I don't know. So...
And for any of you who, as he pointed it out, he was the first person to recognize it. Was anyone here last year for the auction?
Yes.
Does anyone remember this?
Yes.
Yep, I do.
Brought it
You
back
pulled
this year.
250, 100... That's
2,000.
not a number. $2,500 out of your ass to buy a fursuit.
And 600 on a DS.
I hate you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I do for fun because of you guys.
But it's fun.
Guys, this is my close friend Anubis, by the way.
Hello!
He's not a fursuit maker. He's just annoying.
Were you
Thank
Anubis
you.
before or after you got the suit?
Yes.
What now?
Were you Anubis before or after you got
Actually,
the suit?
after. I adopted the whole thing.
So we got about another 7 minutes. Do we have any
Sounds
other
like that.
questions?
May,
5
I
minutes
don't
back?
know if Sal has the food open in general or not, but you might want to stop in and check.
Cool. I want some pasta.
No.
Anything else? If you guys think of any questions after this, feel free to find me on any social media. I will happily reply with any advice that I could give you. Twitter, Instagram, Telegram is all at statustheferret. You can email me, statustheferret@gmail.com. Find me at conventions. Feel free to stop me. I'll give you advice. I'll give you love. I'll give you hugs. Hi! You can always... The best way to find me at conventions is find what panel Alkali is on. Chances are I'm up his ass.
That can be taken more ways than one.
Take it the clean way. I'm 18.
And this has an 11-year-old.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I'm so used to running 18 plus panels, and I feel so bad.
No. Just I was.
Oh,
you guys
okay.
are cool to the point you went.
Okay. No.
To the point
I'm just a really big fan of
I'm going to change my
Alkali. So.
Twitter bio now.
No, I'm just a really big fan of Alkali. So chances are.
What were your gloves? I didn't get the price on.
Gloves. My gloves I usually sell for about $50.
Okay.
Because a lot of, especially my pre-made gloves, a lot of my gloves are just made from leftover stuff that I need to get rid of anyway.
Yeah.
These are so worn out, I'd probably sell them to you for $20. Like,
Okay.
they're not.
But the standard is about 50.
Standard's about $50, depending on colors and everything else.
Cool.
So,
Thank you.
if you find a pre-made for me, you're lucky, because I am so busy at this point that I don't have time to just make pre-made gloves. I'm in my first semester of college. Like, I'm already dying. I'm a psychology major transferring into animal therapy because I want to raise service dogs. I like helping people, but I hate the people part of helping people. So,
Same here.
service animals. Anything else?
Bananas.
The bananas are important. Did I see a hand? I thought I saw a hand. Well, we got 5 minutes left. Are there any topics that I didn't cover that you guys want to hear covered?
Are you available at 6?
Why?
My panel.
Possibly. I will be stopping
I
back.
would love a co-host because I can't just be up there alone.
The video gaming panel?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about video games.
That would be amazing.
Okay.
You can hijack that one.
Cool. Anything else?
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming.
Hey, sister, believe
Catch me at 9 for going unsupervised, 9:30 for Snoot and Status Games, Casual Crashers, and then I'm here all day tomorrow doing a bunch of fun things. I'm gonna call time. Cool. Thank you guys so much. If you have any questions, feel free to stop me.
Did I drop my little plush donut down there anywhere?
Yes, I see it.
Did you throw it?
It's right here.
Up front. Okay. Status. Yeah, I unpacked that up. Missing something. Thank you.
Silver Gattoman, he bought me a coffee. Silver Gattoman, here is the song for thee. He likes to video all the panels at the cons. You should go and watch them whether they are short or long. Silver Gattoman, you video that's not a jibe. All of you go to his YouTube channel and like and subscribe.